Hi everyone. Okay, this week's lesson is all about bugs. On my webpage, I have given a little introduction about our lesson for the week, and most of you guys are spending a lot more time outside lately, and if you've been spending a lot more time outside, you are probably encountering some bugs because it's springtime and there's a lot of them out there. So today's lesson is going to be really fun. We're creating a lesson that's called Bugs in Harmony. So let me show you a little bit of what it's about. Let me put this to the side for a moment. And here are some things we're going to discuss today. Okay, here's a couple of our vocabulary words. So these are, we're discussing harmony, repetition, rhythm, and overlapping. And if you can look right up here at my sign up here, I have some of the ideas. So harmony, repetition, and rhythm fall kind of under the art category of the principles of design, whereas lines, shapes, form, color, and things like that fall under the art category of the elements of art. So when we talk about art, there's two basic categories we talk about. One, the elements of art, and two, the principles of design. So today we're focusing more on the principles of design. Sounds like kind of a big concept, but in reality, all it is how you lay out your artwork in a really pleasing manner to the people that are viewing it. Okay, so our title of our artwork today is called Bugs in Harmony. And so up at the top, I have it written in red. So harmony, it means it's achieved through the use of repetition and rhythm. And repetition is something you do every day, using the same or similar things over and over again. So for example, here's a good example of repetition. I have 4 ovals and they're just repeated. Same thing goes with rhythm. Rhythm is using the same or similar things over and over again in a pattern. So here I have my pattern. Very simple concept, lots of words to come up with that big concept right there, but just a bunch of zigzag lines, diagonal lines, wavy lines. Those are just some examples of it. And what I don't have written up here, but we will be discussing too, and you can kind of see over here, is we're going to be doing some overlapping. And you guys do overlapping all the time. We do it in our art class on a daily basis. And it's just a shape and then a shape behind it, or a shape behind and a shape in front of it. And so you just have one thing coming over the other shape. All right, so let's get started on our project. Okay, so here are the materials you'll need for today's project. You will just need a white piece of paper. Any size is fine, any thickness is fine. Again, this is just simply printer paper. And in class we use much thicker paper, but here's all I have at home is some printer paper, which I'm sure you guys all have at your house too. You can use a Sharpie or any other black marker. You can use a pencil, however, a pencil is optional. I'm going to show you doing this project without using a pencil, but if you want to use a pencil, you can, and a pencil is simply if you feel more comfortable drawing your picture and being able to have the option of erasing it if you need to. Okay, and the other thing you'll need is just a variety of colored pencil colors. If you don't have colored pencils, you can definitely use crayon, that's fine too. So we're just gonna kind of keep it to crayons and colored pencils. You don't really need any paint for this project. Okay, so because we're talking about bugs, part of the other goal of our project, in addition to creating a harmonious bug composition using repetition, rhythm, and overlapping, is we also want to do one more thing that kind of ties in a little bit of science to this project. And what we want to do is we want to use the appropriate and scientific parts of a bug. So I am actually going to use this handy handout, that pamphlet that the kindergartners have, and it says, what is an insect? So inside, all I'm going to do is turn to the first page, and it says an insect has 3 parts. We have the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Okay, and I'm going to reference this really quick. So here we have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So when I show you how to draw this, we're going to include those 3 parts. The next thing we're going to include in there before we start is an insect has 6 legs. So we want to make sure, in addition to having a head, a thorax, and an abdomen, that our insect will have 6 legs, and thus it will ensure that we have a scientifically correct insect. Okay, so let's start. All right. Now I'm going to show you the version just using a Sharpie and not using a pencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with my center bug, and I feel like that's easier because that way I can gauge like how big it's going to be on my paper. All right, so I'm going to do my, we have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. I'm going to start with my thorax, actually. I'm going to start with my middle part. And it's almost like making a snowman. I'm just going to make a round circle in the center. And then I'm going to make a smaller head. Not too small because I want to include some facial features on there, even though, because this is kind of a fun little cartoon bug. And then we have my head and my thorax, and I'm going to include my abdomen. And I'm going to make a long abdomen. Now, this can kind of be almost a made-up bug. It can either be kind of a combination between maybe a dragonfly and a fly. It's kind of up to you. Okay, and then I'm going to include some eyes on here. And all I'm doing is a bunch of little circles right here. So some eyes. And then I want to include antennas. And however you want to make your antennas. Make 1, 2. I'm going to make these little curly antennas. Okay. And for my next part, I want to include my wings first. So what I'm going to do is my wings are going to start from this area right here at the bottom of the head. And they're going to start here and they're going to end up right here underneath my thorax. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to have my wing go out, around, and under. And I'm going to have another wing go out, around, and under. And see how they start at the bottom of the head and end up at the bottom of the thorax there. Okay, and before I include any kind of patterns, I really want to get in my 6 legs. So I'm going to do my bottom 2 legs first. And they're going to come out, like a diagonal line out, and then straight down, and just make a silly little leg. It does not matter how long they are, but you probably want them to be about the same size. Another diagonal line out, straight down, and 2 little feet. Okay. And then I'm going to include 2 sets of arms, a diagonal line going out towards my corner of my paper, up, and a little V shape right there. Same thing here. Okay. And then I'm going to go out the opposite direction, a little V shape. Oop, I forgot to go up. That's okay. I'm going to go out, up, and a V shape. All right, perfect. So now we have our first bug drawn. And before we go in and include any patterns, I'm going to go and do my other 2 bugs right here. Okay, now my next bug is going to be about the same. I'm going to worry about doing my middle thorax first, then my head, then I'm going to include my abdomen, eyes. And when you're drawing this, feel free to slow it down so you can kind of catch up. And then I'm going to do my wing. Now here's where we get into our overlapping. My wing is going to come out and I'm going to pretend it's going behind there. Come back around and there you have your overlapping. This wing is in front of that wing. I'm going to come out, around, and back in. I'm going to include my legs. And remember, this is kind of just a fun little cartoon bug in my arms. Diagonal out, straight up, V shape. Diagonal out, straight up, V shape. Out, up, V shape. Out, up, V shape. Okay, and then I'm going to do my 3rd bug over here. All right. There we go. I'm going to make sure that this wing comes out, overlaps. Pretend it's going under there. And if you want to do this in pencil and have it go over there, go over it, then you would just erase that part right there, just like we do in class. Now, I ran out of room. Good example. That's totally fine if you run out of room. You just pretend it's going around and come right back up. Okay? Diagonal out, down, V shape. Out, down, V shape. That one can go off the page. Oh, I forgot my eyes on there. Let me put some eyes. Okay, so let me give you guys a minute to do that and we'll be right back. We need to add in our antennas. We added antennas on the first one and I forgot about it on these. So they don't have to be the same antennas. They can be different shapes to give it a little bit, because you have all these three that are the same. And this one, I'm gonna go up like this, make it a little silly antenna. Okay, now I wanna give them a little bit of a personality before I add some patterns. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some mouths to them and it gives it a lot of personality right there. So we have, I'm gonna give two that are maybe singing and one that's smiling. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to add our repetition and our rhythm in here. So let's get some repeating patterns. So right here, I'm actually gonna do a triangle on this one, maybe a circle on this one, and then maybe I'll do a little bit of an oval on this one. So they can be a little bit different for those. And then I'm gonna add some patterns. I'm gonna go up. Any pattern that you want. I'm kind of creating a good space so I can color it in. Now remember, even though it looks like I'm doing 4 lines, which it is 4 lines, but what I'm doing is, in my mind, I'm creating a good space right here where I can color it in. Okay, and in order to make the wings look really cool, I'm kind of gonna go out, some lines that go out like this. So stemming from that center part of the body, I'm gonna go out, kind of make the wings go out like that. And in order to kind of keep your brain organized with what you're drawing here, I'm just gonna do it little by little, just work on one section at a time, not skip around to every section of my bug. Okay, and on this bug, I'm gonna do some wavy lines. There we go, and do kind of the same idea here. Goes out like this, and on this one, I'm gonna do just, so kind of creating a fun pattern. Now, remember with wings, what you do on one part of the wing, you have to do on the other part of the wing. They can't be different because wings are symmetrical. So I have 1, 2, 3. And let's finish up this bug quickly over here. Going a little faster now. And on this one, I'm just gonna do some diagonal lines, kind of coming down like this. There we go. All right. And this one, I'm just gonna do some straight lines going there on my wing to give it some pattern. All right, and leave that blank. All right, now, here's what you're gonna do. When you're finished with all that, you can do one of 2 things. One, you can leave it blank like this and just start to color it in. Or what you can do is, you can do this. You can create a background to your situation and to your cool picture. This, I created a stage because I thought maybe it looked like my bugs were dancing or singing on stage. So I kind of created a little bit of a stage with some lights and they're dancing along here. Okay. And what you can do is you can just color it in with any colored pencil colors you want. So I think colored pencils work the best because you get really nice, cool, bright colors. Go ahead and color that in however you want. I like to leave my eyes white because I think it creates a really, really, really nice kind of color pattern in there with having everything else with a color and then having my eyes white. Any way that you want to color this in is fine. I'm going to get a little bit creative right here and use 2 different shades of the same color. So I'm kind of using a darker blue and a lighter blue. However you want to do it, you just want to make sure you color nicely and neatly and in the lines. And however you want to do it is fine. If you want to add some value to that, where you're creating a darker on the outside and lighter on the inside, that gives a really nice kind of highlighted look to it. All right, enjoy your project of Bugs in Harmony, and I'll see you next time.